All right. Thank you all for this opportunity. Again, my name is Fleming, and it is an honor to be before you. To see some familiar faces makes this a little bit more homecoming. Just a little back history. Me and Tim go back since sixth grade at Johnson Middle School, so it's really an honor to see him in this space. He needed church just as much as church needed him. So it's a blessing to have a friend that grows with you and goes with you at the same time. So he's been in my life for over 20 years, man. We go way back, and there's been nothing more than a blessing to have a friend that turns brother over time. So I'm blessed. And I think it'd also be remiss that you all don't understand that me and Ricky do go way back. We was actually catching the TARC to our programming. Kids don't write the TARC no more. So we figure everything that we go through that they didn't go through, we call them spoil. Our TARC rides was probably the best part of the whole program. It was free for one, and we used to cut up and sit in the back for two, and we didn't know where we was going. So we just hopped on, and we was trusting God way before we knew God. So it always worked out every weekend. So, and Ricky is also one of the greatest musicians to ever come out of Louisville, Kentucky. Without a doubt. Without a doubt. This man's been doing music since we knew what music was, and he does it from the heart. And had an opportunity to witness his album release, and man, it's not an if, it's more like a win. And the worst thing you can do is get successful too early. So I know God is just really waiting to really release Ricky to the world, so they can really see the gift that comes out of this man. So I've never seen Ricky in a suit, so that's also a good sight. And I've never seen Tim without a hat, so I feel right at home. And it's an honor to be before Jimmy Welsh, a really big component of my life, and I appreciate Jimmy for all the hard times he gives me day in and day out. So it's good to see you, Jimmy, in the house. I won't be before you long. I feel like I got tricked. They said, man, won't you come and say a few words about your organization? And then they gave me a program. And the program had the word message in it. I'm like, Tim, message in church means preach. I don't know a lot, I know a few, but I know that means give a word. But thank God I've always have a word on me, man. I'm from a generation, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready. So I'm the product of a 4'11", mean, beautiful woman. I'm the youngest of three, and I had a mother who didn't really believe in idle time. So my youth was busy. So not with Ricky on Saturdays at Lincoln Foundation. It was Upward Bound the next Saturday, and Whitney Young Scholar the next Saturday, and Black Achievers the next Saturday, to where my mother didn't believe if you had idle time, it means it was baseboard time. And I don't know if you know anything about baseboard time. My mama said, you either find something to do with your time or I'll find something for you. So we never had down moments. So what I want to talk about and what Ricky has tasked me to do is, he said, D, I feel like there is a gap between what we do, who we do it for, and who we do it with between generations, right? I've always preached generational wealth. And I feel like generational wealth also comes from generational health. All right, the ability to be able to pour into yourself and invest in yourself in a way that nobody else can. And one of the things I've also been blessed with, even when becoming part of Omega Psi Phi fraternity, is I've been part of a men equality program. Men equality actually might have even saved my life. As a freshman in high school, at Louisville Middle High School, Tim would tell you, a lot of people in that room didn't look like us. I played sports and Tim played drums, so we had a space in the building. Fortunately and unfortunately. But outside of sports, you was just a name on a paper, so you had to find your own way. And Men Equality walked in the building one Friday morning, and I was actually on my way to the office to ask to be transferred to Central High School. I had played football my whole life. I was a really good athlete, and my head was bigger than my ability. My freshman year, I came in, Michael Bush and the guys were seniors, and Mel was doing what they do. Well, this 184-pound freshman felt like he belonged in the mix. And I was like, well, you all came and got me. I felt like that I needed to be playing with those guys. And then they're like, well, come on down to the practice field. It's all fun and games until you put a helmet on, right? And I was like, well, maybe I ain't as good as I thought. So if I go to Central, I'll start. So I'm on my way to the office to ask if, knowing my mother ain't going for none of that, if I could be transferred. On my way down to the office, I ran into a few guys, Kirk Lattimore, Michael Shoulders, Kevin Wigginton, Vincel, and some guys that was part of Omega Sci-Fi. And they was like, man, what you doing, young brother? I said, man, look, I'm coming. I'm on my way to transfer. This school ain't for me. And Michael Shoulders said, well, maybe the school ain't for you, but maybe you for the school. So why don't you come to the mental quality program, and if we don't say something that doesn't change your mind, I'll take you to Central myself. Bet. Needless to say, I graduated at the top of the male high school class. That conversation was very short. And I felt like that was a very pivotal moment in my life. What I also learned is when Ricky and Tim reached out to me, he was like, D, what do we need to do to close that gap? I said, we got to start having more honest conversations like that, right? Passing the baton can be scary because you know what you can do, but you don't know what the person's going to do once you pass the baton. So that's where you have to have faith and fear cannot live in the same space, right? So you just got to believe that what you've done was not only received, but it was believed. And that the person you give it to is going to run the race just as good, and if not better than you did. So one thing I had to learn was I had to change my perspective, right? I was a 27-year-old entrepreneur setting out to become in the nonprofit world. The nonprofit world can be a little tricky. I know churches is nonprofit, schools is nonprofit. It can be a little tricky to be a young black man navigating nonprofit world. So I had to change my perspective. So I had to realize that God, you was born with vision, with a sight, but God gives you a vision, right? So I had to learn the difference between having sight and a vision. And what I learned is everything you see may not match up to everything you believe, right? So this is what I believe. So I said in life, when things get shaky, the first thing we do is turn and run to God, only to realize it was God doing the shaking. So it was in that space where I understood that I had a promise over my life, and I don't know where it came from, but I'm pretty confident I know who it came from. I've had people praying over me way longer than I've been praying over myself. And one thing the word says is that even though they go, the prayers still live. So the prayers don't die with them. I'm a beneficiary of people's prayers who are no longer with us, and I know that. So I had to understand that my sight and vision are two different worlds. Sight is what you give, vision is what God gives you. So if you can find some kind of alignment between sight and vision, you're going to be okay. But you have to pray for that. One area that I know I struggled in young was discernment. I believed everybody had a good heart. I believed everybody had a good heart until I got into the nonprofit world, or until I got into the world. And I had to realize that everybody's heart is not conditioned the same. So it says, develop and condition your heart and align it with your assignment. So I had to learn that my heart ain't their heart. And if you operate out of heart, God will protect yours, don't mean the devil ain't going to do his job. Right? So I had to learn that it's not personal, it's prophetic. Right? And I also had to teach my students that when God can't get to you, he'll destroy your whole circle. Right? So I tell my kids, you have to Google your circle. See if the people are surrounding you or supporting you. That's two different ministries. Right? That's two different ministries, and you will know because it gets heavier, right? And when people start leaving, it gets lighter, and you're like, well, what was that? And I also had to learn the hard way that is not always friends. That can sometimes be family. All right, that is sometimes be. I ain't trying to stir up no pots. But I want to make sure you understand that when passing the baton, you have to shift some things. Some things have to shift, and we can close the gap, but it's intentional work on both sides of the gap and able to close that gap. It's going to require work on both sides. And I think all you can do is all you can do. And when I learned that when it's too big for you, it's just right for God. So you can't do anything that's out of control what you can control and let God do the rest. So after you develop and condition your heart, you must then prepare so that you don't have to repair. It's coming whether you're ready or not. Put yourself in the position to be propelled and perpetuated. All right? Positivity comes far, far, far in between negativity. All right? My program is called Sowing Seeds with Faith. And the motto behind Sowing Seeds with Faith is, you never see a tree eat its own fruit. So everything that you put in the ground ain't even about you. You may not never get a piece of that fruit. But if you believe in generational wealth, you believe in closing the gap, you got to be willing to sow some seeds that may not be for you. You got to be willing to open doors that you may never be able to walk through. What you ought to understand is that them men that walked in that hallway of Louisville Mill High School was opening doors that they probably never had. When he told me you may not be for, the mill may not be for you, but you may be for mill, he was saying, I didn't have an opportunity to go here. But there's a lot of people who made a lot of sacrifices so that you could and so that you would. And then that you hear it, it's your obligation to do the best with it, because there's people coming behind you that you have to open doors for. When I got inducted to the Louisville Mill Hall of Fame, I was the youngest person to ever be inducted to the Louisville Mill Hall of Fame. And as excited as I was, I'm on a panel of young ladies and gentlemen and men, and I mean, I was class of 2006. The next person next to me was class of 1990. I was born in 87. So I'm trying to figure out why is God have me on this panel of individuals, right? And I went, and when they went through the speaking order, I had to speak last. And these men were talking about the wars they had to fight and how they had to walk to buses and all the things that I took for granted, right? This year, and I really didn't understand my assignment being on that panel and being inducted to the Hall of Fame. But this year, there was a gentleman named Randy Westone who was 3 years younger than me that is now inducted into the Hall of Fame. So the door that I opened has now started a trend of opportunity. And he looked just like me, right? That's not normal in Louisville Mill High School, right? If you don't do your homework, that ain't how it started. But what we have done, and I've told Randy, we have made a transition to maybe close that gap. So we are now setting a precedent that people come behind us can benefit from the things that we did and did or not do, right? Sometimes you have to get comfortable with the process of becoming and also understand there's a process of unbecoming, right? There's a time in which you must take off things that don't belong to you. You was born into a family that you didn't pick. It picked you. And sometimes you question God, like, God, I don't know what you had in mind with this family. But if it's your will, make sure my last name matches their last name. And if it ain't, change it, right? So you have to get comfortable with the process of becoming and unbecoming. And know the difference between obstacles and opposition, right? There's a difference between obstacles and opposition. Obstacles come from God. Opposition come from the devil. They both gonna come. You have to navigate them both effectively and efficiently. Everything you go through has a lesson, right? We don't believe in win or lose. You either win or learn. That's your two options. You win or learn, all right? Everything comes with the blessing. So before I leave, I wanted to understand this as we work towards closing the gap. The biggest room in the world is the room for improvement. There's always an opportunity to be better. Jerry Rice said, there's nothing wrong with being a copycat if you're copying the right cat. The only way to get to the room of improvement is you don't get to go there, you have to grow there. Anyone can practice till they get it right, but the greatest practice until they can't get it wrong. There's details in your detour. Perspective changes things, and there's a reason why some people wear glasses and some people don't. I don't wear glasses. I ain't judging those who do. but we might see things a little different at a certain hour of the day. And I've been grateful to understand that God has blessed me with opportunity to be a visionary. So the doors that I've opened for the kids that we impact are not even for me. But I know my calling. I understood at a very early age I had a plan. It was almost equivalent to me sitting in a room and the phone ringing, like a phone booth. And I heard it ringing for years and years and years. And I went and tried that and came back and the phone was ringing. And I went and tried that and the phone was ringing. And I went and tried that and I came. And eventually God said, you might as well answer. You might as well go on answer because I ain't going to stop calling you. And when I finally answered the phone, everything that I was chasing was right there. God said, I have plans to prosper you. You just need to trust me. And trusting God has not been an easy battle. Hear me. Trusting God, I have trust issues. And they don't pick and choose who the issues come with. So God was in that lineup too. So I had to learn how to not only trust what I can't see, but believe what I've never heard. You know what I mean? That was a different space for me, but I also understood that love needs action, trust needs proof, and sorry needs change. All right? Love needs action, trust needs proof, and sorry needs change. I don't think God was giving that to me. He was telling me that's how you have to move around people with people around you. When I prayed for discernment, a lot shifted. So be careful what you pray for. Be careful what you pray for. When I pray for discernment, things start showing up that's been around forever. Listen, I had to really hold on to some things that God was trying to snatch. And God was like, man, I'm trying to take away so that I can add. I can't give you faith if you hold on to fear. Right? I can't give you favor when you hold on to substance. And I can't take you to the next level when you hold on to people. Give her the mic. Give her the mic. Everybody can't go. And the crazy part is, my mama told me that when I was 13. And I said, we all going. She said, well, God will show you better than he can tell you. And I also had to learn that even though they can't go, that's not conflict. Right? That's not conflict. It's not me saying that you don't belong. You're just not part of the season. The seasons have changed. Right? One of the best seasons of my life is fall. One, because my birthday's in the fall. And two, because I think I enjoy weather right before it gets cold because I hate the cold. So I appreciate fall a lot. I also appreciate fall because it speaks testaments to who I am and what I do. I've failed, but I don't fall. God says, I'm going to hold you up in spaces where people will tear you down. Your name would be in rooms that you've never stepped foot in. And the only person that'll get glory from that all is me. Me being God. And I had to understand that it's not about me, it's about them. Everything that comes through you ain't necessarily for you. Sometimes God just has to position you so that people around you can be successful. Understand that discipline beats doubt, action silences anxiety, and progress whispers louder than perfection ever will. Do not be discouraged by your opportunities that you take and don't take. Never take criticism from someone who you wouldn't take advice from. Never allow somebody to criticize the decisions you make when they didn't know what choices you had available. Ambition without action turns into anxiety. And to get a life that most people want, you must be willing to do what most people won't. If you want to make the wrong decision, ask everybody for advice. If people only see your actions and not your words, what would they say about you? There is a blessing in proximity, and you can't have a new reality with the old mentality. If we're going to close the gap, it starts with doing things that you can do, and being willing to delegate the things that you cannot do. Delegation can also be scary when you've done it a certain way for 10 years, right? And as I close, the most important lesson of today is the power of pivot. In order to close this gap, we have to understand the power of pivot. Pivot is powerful. Understand that pivot is this: what got you here won't get you there. You got to be willing to do a few things different, because the world, one thing for sure, the world gonna change. Have you ever gave somebody over 65 an iPhone? The world gonna change. You ever gave a 3-year-old an iPad? The world gonna change. You ever gave a struggling college student ChatGTP? The world gonna change. And if you're not willing to change with it, it'll change without you. So, just so you all know, the name of my program is Sowing Seeds with Faith. Sowing Seeds with Faith is now celebrating 8 years of success. It has been an unusual journey. I don't think I would change anything, and it's been a very tough one. And with the new presidential election, it's going to get tougher. But what God is doing is God is weeding people out, right, who don't belong in that space. The battle is not given to the strong or the swift, but to those who persevere. In this season, Sowing Seeds with Faith has made more impact in the last 6 months than it had in the last 2 years. During times where funds is slim, donations disappear, and people are funny. We've been able to take HBCU college tours. We are currently, right now, conducting the largest summer program in the city of Louisville. All right? If you ever get a moment, I charge you to just pop your head in my program and just kind of see what's happening. It ain't necessarily, the excitement is not what I'm doing. It's who I'm doing it with, and more importantly, who I'm doing it for, right? We are located at Central High School for the next 7 weeks. If you have an opportunity, Monday through Thursday between 8 a.m. and 5 p.m., you can pop in and just witness greatness on how we've worked collectively and collaborated with the right people to turn this thing into a national model. Sowing Seeds of Faith started in Louisville, but it will be worldwide in 2027. You have my word, right? Yeah. I feel like we're doing the right thing at the right time for the right people. We have over 187 kids in summer program, over 20 staff. I've hired 30 high school students, 15 college students, and 10 school teachers. I've overpopulated my space just so people understand that this opportunity, and every kid there paid to be there. We have a waiting list of over 100 kids, so we're doing something right, and we don't do any marketing. This is all word of mouth. I'm not bragging. Bragging is only when people didn't believe you could do it in the first place. Just a testament to when you get a Ricky and you get a Tim and you get a Damari and you put them in one room, you can guarantee the minute you open that door, greatness is coming out. Because greatness went in. All right? What Ricky and Tim are doing may seem very small, but it is catastrophic on the scale of opportunity and change. These brothers understand they have sight, but God blessed them with a vision. And when God gives you a vision, he promises that it's going to come to fruition if you do your part. So we do HBCU college tours twice a year for over 100 kids, summer camp. We do youth retreats and parent retreats. We have tutoring year-round. Anything and everything you need, we have in one space. And if we don't have it, we don't go create it. We go find a partner who's already doing it and bring them into the space to make sure that everybody has the same opportunity to be great. We believe in the village. We believe we have everything we need right here. And what we don't, we'll go train a kid up to be that and make sure the village has it. So again, I thank you for the opportunity. Man, it's nothing but a blessing. Tim, Ricky, man, I couldn't thank you all enough for this opportunity, man. I love you all. You know, our phones don't stop. Anything y'all need from me, I'm less than a phone call away, all right? And if you got an opportunity when the church is over, I don't know, am I last? I ain't last. Okay, y'all might be here for a while. So when y'all get done, we have a Father's Day brunch happening right now at the Groove Bar and Grill. It's $25, but if you come, it's free. It ain't even about the money. It's about you coming to get an opportunity to fellowship with the right people in the right space. We there till 4 o'clock. It's all you can eat brunch. We got some drinks that the devil provided, and then we got cigars. All right, it's just a good space for men to be men amongst men and pour into one another. Iron sharpens iron. The mirror speaks to the person, not the people. All right. Thank you for the opportunity, and I love y'all.